The EFF says its election manifesto will prioritise the needs of ordinary South Africans ahead of the 2026 local government elections. For more on this, we're across to SABC News Anchor Thulasizwe Simelane. A very good morning to you, Thulas. What do you have for us?
Good morning to you, Lebo. So, Lebo, the build-up continues here at the Thohoyandou Stadium. In fact, as I speak to you, a few minutes ago, the EFF, in typical EFF fashion, leaving nothing to chance as far as the staging of the event is concerned, they were doing their final checks, right? So the balloons have been brought in that will be released at some point. Remember, this, of course, is partly a birthday party for the EFF in that they'll be marking 13 years since the EFF was formed. We saw them testing out the fire displays that will be fired off a bit later on, checking the microphones. As far as the crowd is concerned, I can just quickly show you around the stadium. The grandstand is starting to fill up quite steadily. Lots of people coming in clad in the traditional red of the EFF, just taking their seats and taking their seats inside the stadium. It helps, of course, that the weather itself is agreeable at this point. Not too hot, not too cold, just mild, which will make for, a bit of comfort for the people that have come out to be part of the EFF setting. Of course, the stadium itself, in terms of how it's decked out, not only do you have the EFF flags, which of course you would expect, but also some themes that you associate with the EFF. The African Union flag is also hanging about in the stadium, speaking to their Pan-Africanist ideals. You also see the Palestinian flag also draped in parts across the stadium, talking to their solidarity with those struggles. And of course, you then have the flag of Cuba, which of course is part of the inspiration for the foundation of what is known as the 26th July movement, which is of course the economic freedom fighters. Let me bring in SABC News politics editor Mzwandi Lembeje, who continues to be with me in these conversations. Mzwai, so it's the build-up now. We'll start seeing more people filing in and the leadership of the EFF as well coming in. Talk to me about what our expectations are, because earlier on, you and I were talking about the conversation about the national issues, whether or not they provide buoyancy or drag for the EFF, right? The charisma of their leader is undoubtable, but has he expanded his political capital a bit too far, given the number of issues that he has faced in the recent past, with the result that perhaps the national issues could actually become a drag as opposed to his charisma being one that provides buoyancy?
Thulas, what is interesting about South African elections, national or local, so they tend to be viewed the same. Yes, people definitely know that this is local government elections where issues that affect them directly are quite important. And in this instance, one of those issues by South Africans in general is the issue of migration. So that issue will be quite key in terms of the campaigns. And then there comes the question. Julius Malema is very clear when it comes to this matter, particularly when it relates to the African unity and the African migrants. So how much of that will then impact their election campaign? And what exactly he is going to say, given the mood of the country at the moment? At the moment, we know that the topical issue on everyone is the issue of illegal migration. And then you then have political parties wanting to say something in that regard, and the EFF is very clear where it stands. So what is it that it's going to say? Because many of the people are saying, we would want to vote for the EFF, but we are not necessarily sure about the kind of messaging around the illegal migration. So for me, that is what I'm going to be looking out for, other than good governance, other than what is it that we are going to do, because those are the issues that are affecting people.
In fact, as we talk about good governance, because they are foregrounding governance in this particular campaign, how much will they need to account for one, for their record in governance as coalition partners where they are coalition partners, but secondly, how they've handled issues, because one of their cardinal pillars is about building the capacity of the state in order to do away with the tender system. You and I know some of what we've heard coming through from the Madlanga Commission, for instance.
That will be quite interesting, really. But I think because they are still a bit limited in terms of their participation there, so they may not have so much to say, but in some isolated areas where they are obviously co-governing, so they should be able, I guess, to point out to some of the things that perhaps they are doing differently. And the fact that they are on record as saying, so they don't want the tenders, they want the abolishment of tenders, perhaps may come in handy.
Yeah.
But of course, at the moment, we still are dealing with state that deals with tenders.
All right, Mzai will continue to talk. In fact, as we continue to bring this broadcast to you live from the Thohoyandou Stadium, we are told that something in the region of 213 mayoral candidates will, from today be known, the EFF mayoral candidates that they'll be fielding across the wards and across municipalities across the country. But for now, let's bring it back to you in studio, Lebu and Lizel.
Thank you so much. That is Thulasizwe Simelane there at Thohoyandou, covering the EFF's manifesto election, and as that party celebrates their 13th anniversary.